So then, where were we before we were so rudely interrupted? Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today we are back with the football content, and Sophie, we are going to be brave and do a joint early Premier League table prediction for next season. How are you feeling?
I don't like doing them so early because you're going to wind some people up. It's too early because the transfer window is not actually started, so we're going off how it'd be if it stayed like this in a way, but also a couple of things have changed, so it's very, very hard to do it this early on. Absolutely.
Like I always say, take this video with a pinch of salt. If we could have it so every team doesn't go down, we would. If we could have it so all of the top teams make it into the Champions League, we would. But you know the deal. Some teams are going to struggle, some teams are going to go down. And this is just our early prediction. And very interestingly, looking back at last season, Sophie, I think I actually did better with my early predictions than my actual predictions. So right. Maybe if I'm just a bit more random and before I actually know what's happened, I might actually get more right. But today, like I say, we're working as a team. It's our joint prediction. Before we get into the video, guys, do feel free to share your predictions down in the comments if you are feeling brave. We'll go for 2,000 likes on this video. Make sure to get involved. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And with all of that said and done, let's get into our predictions, Sophie. So then, how today's video is going to work, Sophie, is we've got our bottom three, the teams we think that will survive, the teams in mid-table, the teams fighting for European places, and the top four itself. Let's go through it in a bit of a random order, Sophie. Arsenal, it's got to be top four, isn't it?
Top four again. Yeah, they looked very, very good last season. They were unlucky that Man City are so dominant, otherwise the league would have been theirs. So yeah. It is a shame after such a good season they've actually got nothing to show for it because they didn't have any trophies and they got a second place, but that's not taken away from a really good season, and I think top four pretty much bang on next season. Well,
I think at least top two as well, yeah, because last season they finished second. The bookmakers have them to finish second. I would imagine they'll be somewhere in the top two. Yeah. A lot of people think Arteta is the heir to the throne to possibly, you know, succeed Guardiola one day. And I think they are the best threat to Man City right now, so they've got to be up there. I think that's quite a straightforward one. We will see what business they do through the summer, but I think Arsenal being in the top four is fairly straightforward. Ipswich, Sophie, this is a difficult one, isn't it? They're new to the Premier League, which means we could be really surprised by them. We've seen newly promoted teams do really, really well. I'm sure Ipswich Town fans, though, would be happy enough with 17th.
100%.
Just get over the line and survive. It's going to be difficult. They've got, you know, quite a lot of players that have come up from League One, and maybe the quality isn't necessarily all going to be Premier League level. We don't know what business they're going to do, but I tell you what, they have got a great togetherness, and obviously McKenna's been linked with other clubs, but if he stays, they've got a real good chance.
Yeah, I think there's a strong possibility that he will stay now. I know they've offered him a really, really good contract, and it seems things are progressing well with him. So I think that could be the key to them maybe just staying up. If they do lose McKenna, I think they'll be back down.
I think it does hang on that.
Yeah.
I do. I don't want to say Ipswich are not capable without McKenna, but they are just such a good fit together.
Yeah, and you need steadiness going into the Prem because it is so difficult anyway that if you then think, oh, do you know what, change manager. I know that wouldn't be their choice. They obviously want McKenna, but if that was to happen where they have to change manager, that would unsettle a lot of things.
Okay, I think, do you agree we could just slide them into safety for now?
For now, yeah.
We could possibly rejig things, but I think they've got a chance. I think they've got a chance. You know, they could even surprise us and be in mid-table, but I think we'll play it safe and keep them in the bottom two tiers, but we'll be nice and say they just survive. Villa, Sophie, it's got to be between the top two tiers. Last season, they did amazing. They finished fourth. The big thing is people are going to say because they're in the Champions League now, it's going to be difficult to keep the Premier League up to the same standards. And will the likes of Chelsea and that improve going into next season? What do you think?
For me, I think they're just going to miss out on top four.
Maybe sort of fifth or sixth?
Yeah, I think around fifth place for me, possibly. So,
yeah,
top eight.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think they'll be close. I think they'll be very close. The thing is, to be fair, if you look at this season that's just gone, they did well in the league and in the European Cup. You know, they got to the semi-finals of the Conference League while still being in the top 4. The only thing is the Champions League is more difficult. I think there's going to be more games now in the group stage because it's not even a group stage, it's a league now. The format has changed. But I tell you what, as I've said before, I'm really looking forward to seeing Villa Park in the Champions League. We'll put them like sort of 5th or 6th place.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they get top 4 because there's a lot of changes in the big teams next season.
Oh yeah.
So that could really benefit Aston Villa.
Oh, what a job Unai Emery's doing.
Yes, he's doing a very good job.
Aston Villa fans, do be sure to share your thoughts. We'll put you about 5th or 6th.
Yeah, around there.
Manchester United, Sophie.
Top 8, I'd say.
I feel like that's pretty comfy for Man United. I think 6th or 7th. Obviously, so early into the summer, who's the manager going to be?
Well, it's still Ten Hag at the moment,
it is still Ten Hag, yeah.
Very likely he's going, so who are they going to bring in?
I mean, the interesting thing is, when you think back to Sir Alex Ferguson's first few years as manager at Manchester United, it is said that he would have been sacked if they hadn't gone on to win the FA Cup in 1990. And maybe Ten Hag's saved his job with the FA Cup win, or at least kicked the can down the road.
I don't know. It seemed like the decision was already made up before the final, and I think they'd even said that to him, which I think is bang out of order. So either way, if he does leave, he's left on a high note for me, and I don't think they've treated him very well, to be honest. No. Yes, he's not had the best season. He's not got the most out of those players. It does seem very disjointed, but he's won them an FA Cup. And no one expected them to beat Man City. Yeah,
I mean, so like we said, right now, Ten Hag is still there. He might stay, he might go. But I think the problems at Manchester United are deep-rooted, and it's not just to do with the manager. Still got plenty of quality, and on their day are a top 4 team, but they're just not consistent enough, so top 8.
Yeah, so.
Nottingham Forest, Soph.
This is a difficult one.
In the last 2 seasons, they've finished in this category. Is it safe to put them there again? It's going to be difficult to stay up this year.
It is. For me, I wouldn't be that surprised if they went down.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to have them to go down. Okay. But if they did go down, I don't think they're going to finish rock bottom, don't get me wrong. But I think they'd be like the 3rd worst team, if anything. I wouldn't be that surprised, but I'm saying that, I'm going to have them to just stay up again.
I think they'll stay up, to be fair. I just think I'm a little bit concerned after last season, but there was quite a lot last season that you need to remember. A change in management, the points deduction, a couple of injuries as well. Quite a few things happened to Nottingham Forest. If they get things right, there's no doubt they can improve and push on. I think they'll survive, but I'll keep them in the sort of safe category, which is that they survive by, 5 points or 6 points or something. Like I say, I mean, last season they survived with like a record low amount of points that someone's ever survived with, but they did have a points deduction. Anyway, congratulations to them for staying in the Premier League, and good luck to Forest moving forwards. I think they'll stay up as well. West Ham, Sophie.
Around mid-table for me, I think.
Yeah,
so obviously another team with a new manager, so we don't really know how it's going to go. This is why it's quite hard to do these predictions, but he has got Premier League experience. I don't think Moyes did a terrible job in the end, so yeah, we'll see. You look at some of their players, they have got some good players. One of their best players, though, is in a heap of trouble. Yeah, Lucas Paquetá, you just don't know what's going to be happening with him, so that could be a big miss, whether that's financially, because they could have sold him, or just a miss in their squad. So yeah, I think around mid-table is a bit of a safe bet for me.
I think so. Yes, they have changed the manager, but certainly got the quality to be sniffing around the top half, haven't they? Finished 9th last season. The bookmakers have them to finish 10th this year. I think we'll go along with that. Brentford next, Sophie. I'm not sure about Brentford.
I'm a bit worried for Brentford, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, it depends on what kind of business they're going to do. I do like Thomas Frank as a manager, but
I like him.
Last season wasn't a very good season. And I don't know if Ivan Toney's going. There's always speculation every season that he's going. If he does go, it could be a big miss, because that's someone that you know is going to score goals in the Prem. So it's out of the bottom 2 tiers for me.
I really like Brentford. I think what would be a bigger loss than losing Ivan Toney would be losing Thomas Frank. I really like him. I think personally he should be linked with more jobs, but I don't want him to leave Brentford, if you know what I mean. I think he's a great manager, so his name should come up in those discussions, but As I say, I think he's done a great job at Brentford. I want him to stay. I want them to stay up. But yes, last season was a cause for concern. They finished 16th. The bookies have them to finish 15th. There's just that concern that, you know, if any of the newly promoted teams do stay up, who's going to take their place? Could it be a Brentford?
Do you know what? I'm going to put them in the bottom 3 for now.
Should we?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel. Do you know what? This is always the hardest bit. I don't want to relegate anyone.
No.
But I'm sorry. We'll go with Brentford for now. Maybe we can rejig this. Oh God. I mean, they've been so good in the Premier League. That'd come as a bit of a shock, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be a bit of a shock because now you look at them as a Prem team, not someone that's just surviving in the Premier League. But I don't know. It's just based off last season, to be honest, for me.
Yeah. Okay. Bournemouth, Sophie.
Maybe around mid-table.
I think mid-table.
I think they had a good season. They hit their highest points total in the Premier League. They've got some, I don't want to say they're average players, but some players that are not world-class players performing really well in one of the top leagues in the world. So
they've got a really good togetherness. I'll tell you what, they surprised me last season, and I think after last season, I'm not going to underestimate Bournemouth this season. Areola did a great job. They've just brought in Enas Ünal, who is the Turkish forward as well. I think they really do sign some good gems, and you know, if they were to lose someone like Solanke, that would be a big blow. But like you said, there is that togetherness there. And I just think that they're very underrated.
They are. Like, a lot of people, because the size of the club, the size of the stadium, people just almost chalk them off beginning of the season. But I'm not going to do that. Might have egg on my face come the end of the season, but right now I'm going to stick with Bournemouth.
Yeah, so Bournemouth mid-table. That's where they finished last year. That's where the bookies have them. That's where we have them. Chelsea, Sophie.
This could be interesting because, again, we don't know who the manager is going to be. Poch walks away, which I was a little bit surprised about, actually.
Do you know what?
How he walked away.
Given the way they ended the season, I thought it all looked like pretty good going into next season.
Yeah, they just started to click because obviously there was a lot of random players thrown at the starting 11. So, yeah, it would take a while for them to click, but it seemed towards the end of the season that they were playing really well, some really positive signs, and then for the manager to go, you think, oh... How's it going to go next season?
I think Chelsea are a little bit of a wild card. They've got the potential to sneak into the top 4, but they've also got the potential to be like 11th. Do you know what I mean? Because they blow so hot and cold. Yes. A bit like Man United, but there's something like a little bit more likeable about Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? There's just that feeling that they can get into a good rhythm of form. There's maybe not so many prima donnas. I thought Cole Palmer was really good last year.
Yes.
Could they make the top 4?
I'm actually going to have them top 4.
Should we?
Yeah, that's my wild card. About 4th place for me.
I can agree with that. Although I could see them in the mid-table one, but let's go with Chelsea there. I think so. But it all hangs on who's the manager going to be.
Who's the manager? And I mean, we could say that for a few teams, to be honest.
Yeah, there's so many that are going to have managerial changes, so it does make it very difficult. Brighton, they're another one who need a manager.
Yeah, to say maybe mid-table.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do as well.
Should we say between these two? Yeah.
Yeah, around there. I mean, they're not a bad club.
Oh, they're very well run.
They're well run. They can, again, play very well. We've seen that in recent seasons. De Zerbi has been pivotal to that because I think he is a good manager. So it is going to be interesting who they're going to bring in. Yeah,
so they're not even playing in Europe this time, which means, you know, just like with West Ham, maybe they can put more focus into the Premier League, which maybe means that we might find West Ham or Brighton sneaking into the top 7 this year. But we'll put them mid-table. I think Brighton will get a good manager. I don't know who it will be. You just sort of trust Brighton to do things sensibly. So we'll keep Brighton in the middle. Crystal Palace are next. They've got to be mid-table.
Yeah, they could be another bit of a wild card if they keep Elise and Mateta and Eze. If they keep those 3, high-end mid-table for me.
Yeah, that's what I meant, as in like top half.
Yeah.
So 9th or 10th. I'm going to stick them there. So like 9th place.
Could be a good season.
They finished 10th last year, and the form towards the end with Glasner.
So good.
And like you said, Eze, Elise, Mateta, linked with Chadi Riyad from Barcelona as well, which looks a real interesting one. They really seem to find these gems, don't they?
They do.
And just think, a full season with Glasner, if he's going to stay, because he's already attracting a bit of attention, then they could be I don't know. They could be top 8, but
they could sneak into that top 8. Yeah, you can't rule it out.
We'll put them mid-table for now, but they're pretty exciting, aren't they?
They are.
Everton,
14-17. I think they'll just stay up again.
But to be fair, Sophie, if you put the points deductions back on, they would have been mid-table. But do we put them in the 14-17?
They would have. I don't know what business they're going to do. It just for me seems like, I don't think the fans are content, but the club are almost content in just staying up at this point.
Should we put them there? The thing is with Everton, to be fair, Sophie, is yes, if you added the points back on last season that they were deducted, they would have been mid-table. But could you say that it was the points deductions which maybe gave them that extra 5% motivation to play that little bit better? I'm not saying that Everton would have done bad without points deductions. I'm just trying to make a reason for sometimes if there's fire in your belly, you just try that bit harder.
Find another level, don't you?
Exactly, you climb the gears. I think there'll be... I'd like to think there's a season where Everton fans don't have to worry about relegation, but it would be typical if they flirt with it but stay up.
Yeah.
So we'll say
I
like
think it's going to go again.
14th place.
About that, yeah.
The bookies have them in the bottom 3, I think. So
that seems a bit harsh.
Yeah, that is a bit harsh. Man City.
Oh, this is a tough one. Oh, where are they going to go? Top 4.
Yeah.
Nothing needs to be said.
Are we having them in front of Arsenal?
Yeah.
This would be 5 Premier League titles in a row if they win it this year.
Well, look, we're not saying they're going to win it. We're just putting them in a random order in the top 4.
But surely it's between Man City and Arsenal again.
It's got to be, really, because top teams, as I've said, with Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, not saying the other teams aren't top teams, but the big 6, let's say, they're all having managerial changes. Man City and Arsenal... I've got that steadiness, so I think it should be one of them winning this for me.
Yeah, I think so. Fulham, I think about 14, 17.
Yeah, 14, 17 category, I think. I don't think they're going down for me. Last season they've shown some good signs.
I mean, to be fair, if you think about it, 14th is still kind of about mid-table, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it's not a bad finish.
So, if we just look at that, Fulham, Everton, Forest, Ipswich, probably in that order.
Probably, yeah.
Fulham are solid, by the way. Marco Silva probably doesn't get enough credit, because Fulham just kind of, they finish mid-table, they go under the radar a bit, but they're doing a very good job.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I think we'll have them 14th. Last season it was a 13th place finish, so not much changed from us. They might climb the table, to be fair. Leicester, Sophie.
I think it's fairly obvious, isn't it, with the points deductions.
Is it?
And then they're probably losing their manager as well.
It's difficult right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I'm going to say, for me, I don't think there's an outright favourite to be the worst team next season. But with Leicester, maybe you could say, right now, the worst circumstances. Because if you factor in financial problems, possible points deductions, Enzo Maresca going out the door, all that kind of stuff, the worst case scenarios put together, it doesn't look great. But what I would be saying if I was a Leicester fan trying to put a positive spin on things is you've got 2 or 3 months to get it sorted.
Yes, yeah, and they've been in the Premier League before. They've only been out of it for 1 season, so...
Well, they were the best team in the Championship last year.
Exactly, and they did show signs where they were really, really good, and they just looked like, oh, you're way too good for the Championship. But it's getting very, very hard now to go from the Championship and cut it in the Prem.
Do we put them there?
I think because of the points deduction and uncertainty over the manager, it's got to be bottom 3 for now.
But to be honest, I think Leicester City have got enough weight about them to make some really good signings this summer. Leicester City are a big club. I mean, they've won the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's difficult this, isn't it? I think the bottom 3 is going to be really difficult to predict this year.
It is, yeah.
Well, we'll put them there for now. Sorry, Leicester fans. Share your thoughts. Liverpool, Sophie, do they go in the top 4?
So this one's quite hard again because we don't know how Arne Slot's going to get on. And also we don't know if maybe Salah's going to depart. You don't know which players are going to be going out and who he might bring in.
I think the comparison people are going to make, Sophie, is to when Sir Alex Ferguson went out the door at Man United. They've struggled. Because Jurgen Klopp's been there a long time, is it going to need quite a lot of rebuilding for Arne Slot to put his own stamp on things? To be honest, it might be that he comes in and hits the ground running, a bit like Postecoglou did with Spurs last season, at the start of the year, wins 6 or 7 in a row. it might be that he struggles but gets some good form as the season goes on. But ultimately, I think even if they just finish 4th, that's a fairly decent season.
Yeah, I'd say that for your first season in. So I'm going to have them top 4. But as I say, I wouldn't be that surprised if they finish just outside it.
I'll put them ahead of Chelsea just because you think there's a bit more stability inside the club with Liverpool.
Yeah, if there's not a lot of outgoings. So
Newcastle have got to be
top 8.
Newcastle are top 8, but I think I'm going to put them sort of 5th or 6th. I think they'll this time round, Sophie. They're not in Europe. Eddie Howe's a great manager. Good team. Last season it was a bit of a step backwards in the Premier League, but they're now ready to jump forwards again. So I think whatever happens, they'll be somewhere in the European places. I wouldn't rule them out of top 4. I think maybe 5th or 6th though.
Yeah, I think their aim has got to be top 4 as always. A club that size with the money they've got now. They can keep hold of some of their key players again. I think top 8 is pretty much the minimum they're going to finish for me.
Okay.
It's just aims on top 4, but I think they might finish just outside it.
Southampton, playoff winners, did a very good job last year, and interestingly enough, right now the bookies fancy them the most out of the newly promoted teams to stay up.
Oh wow. I will have them in the bottom 3 just because it is very, very different.
I believe both Leicester and Ipswich did the double over Southampton last season, which isn't a great sign, but I don't know. I mean, that might not matter next season. Russell Martin is in, I suppose, unfamiliar territory, managing in the Premier League. I hope he does well.
I hope he does.
But is his style of football going to work against top 4 teams and things like that?
I think they're going to get exposed, to be honest, because they got exposed at times in the Championship. So maybe he will adapt his style of play slightly. He'll probably have to. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see, actually. I did like them in the Championship. I thought they were a good team, but yeah, for me, I am going to have them in the bottom 3.
This is so difficult, this. I would like to see Southampton stay up as well, but oh God. What I'd say is, if you think any of these teams in the bottom 3 are going to stay up, which teams do you think are going down? I mean, we're all open to our opinions because we don't know who's going to be right and wrong yet, but this is so difficult. Tottenham.
Top 8.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Just before United, maybe just after Newcastle.
I think maybe similar to last season. Last season was 5th. The bookies have them to finish 6th. We've got them 6th or 7th. Definitely, good on their day. I like the style of football that Postecoglou
it's entertaining.
Tries to get them to play. But if you're a Tottenham fan, it could probably be a bit frustrating. It maybe hangs on them getting a big goal scorer for next season as well. I still haven't really filled the boots of Harry Kane. It's going to be difficult to do that, but maybe they do need a few more goals.
They do. They need more of a centre forward that they can rely on, because that is where they were lacking last season, and then some of their defensive performances at times as well.
Yeah,
pretty poor. So tighten up at the back, get a centre forward, and they could have a good season.
Yeah, I like Tottenham. The final team, Sophie, Wolves, and we'll have a mid-table.
Mid-table, yeah.
I think just behind Bournemouth. We'll say about 13th. Last season they finished 14th, but to be fair to them, if it wasn't for the injuries and that pretty poor run of form towards the end, they wouldn't have. Yeah, they would have finished maybe top half. To be fair.
Yeah, I know. Like before the season began, I actually thought they might go down last season because it was so uncertain. So by the end of the season, you think, do you know what, that wasn't that bad. Yeah. So could look to push on this season, but I think it could be around mid-table. Yeah, stick with Gary O'Neill, get a bit of stability, and I think, mid-table again, if not top half. So then, guys, that wraps it up. That's our early predictions. It's our joint predictions. Do you feel happy with that? I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. We could chop and change it all day long, but as I say, we won't know. For hours. We won't know for another year if it's right or wrong. Well, do you think it's right or wrong? Let us know down in the comments. Do be sure to share your own predictions and make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you for joining me, Sophie. Thank you. We will see you with some championship predictions very soon. Take care. Peace out.